Hello, welcome to episode 34 of the Foxhole feed. Lots of news to go over. Some interesting news going down. Division beta. Might be playing it, may not be. Some EA wants to talk about Battlefield's fiscal year, The Witness released. Lots of numbers, lots of news. Before we head into it, like always, talk about little community news. See what's going on the channel. Now, Resident Evil 0 stuff is still up. Broken Age has been put up. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons has actually been put up by Craig. He's helping himself to the Brothers series. We got a little playthroughs being put up. Other than that, let's get into some news. So much going on. Now let's start off some of our news with some EA news. So EA has a little, financial conference call. And Blake Jorgensen, I believe we heard of this dude before, goes on to release some of their quarterly finals or quarterly financial information to talk about how good they're doing. And some of the most notable news that I'll go over here easily has to be what is going to be released this year. Now, I took a good look at this whole conference call, read a couple of things about it. It doesn't really say anything regarding any of the new IPs that they're working on, but it does talk about the established. Now, Titanfall, no longer new IP, now getting a sequel and dubbed Established. So Titanfall, a new Battlefield, and a new Mass Effect clearly are confirmed for this fiscal year. Now, business talk, let me confirm to you guys what fiscal year actually means. Some people don't really know this, but it's good to have everybody on the same page to understand what that actually means in a technical business understanding. Fiscal year actually means March 31st, 2017. That is technically fiscal year 2016. In the same respect, we're still technically in the fiscal year of 2015. So some of you guys may get back some either business paperwork or your W-2 shit or something, and it might count this year, the next month, or whatever as 2015 fiscal year. It is not a typo. That's just how they see it in terms of their business calendar. Now, this could mean many, many, many things. Now, they state a new Battlefield game by DICE is going to be released in time for the holidays. A new Titanfall experience is going to come, and Mass Effect Andromeda will launch later in the fiscal year. So they don't mean calendar year like fall this year, i.e. November, December. They mean March 31st at the latest 2017. Could be good, could be bad. This was stated for holiday 2016, and now it's kind of not in holiday 2017, and they're just telling you, later in the fiscal year. Could be, just them, playing with words, or it could be confirmed that Mass Effect is being delayed for possibly a few months. It's probably being delayed from, fall of this year to spring of next year, which is unfortunate. But if they want time to, gussy up the game and make it work, I think that's more important than its, release, to be quite honest with you guys. New Battlefield game, hype, excited. Could be Battlefield 5, like many, are kind of guessing. It could even be Battlefield 2143, the sequel to 2142 in terms of futuristic. Could even be Bad Company 3. I personally feel that I think it'd be a good idea that it's either 2143 or Bad Company 3. Add full destructibility just for this game. Have the exception of, leveling out entire, playing field. Give us a, fancy, funny story, and, or don't allow us to go prone and allow us to only go into, like, on one knee, just like in the Battlefield and Bad Company series. Or, in the Battlefront game and also in the Bad Company series. And I think a lot of gamers might be fine. I find it difficult, just going off a baby tangent, sometimes I find it difficult for people to explain the differences between, Bad Company and Battlefield series in terms of 3 and 4, because some of the changes that are in Bad Company are also in Battlefield 3 and 4, as if to suggest maybe those changes were not necessarily due to being Bad Company as much as it was just merely due to being, a new Battlefield game. So sometimes people might identify, let's say, the classes. I know lots of people have griped from Battlefield 2 to Bad Company about the classes being condensed and Spec Ops class, being just a default thing, and the engineer now being anti-tank and, the same thing. In my personal opinion, those are fine changes. Those changes make sense. It doesn't make sense to have several loadouts. In reality wise, you might be just talking about the same class. I think those will continue with the next one, and I don't think it has anything to do with going from 3 to 4 or anything like that. It might have to do with those changes that were going to come with the series. I remember reading somewhere that DICE stated their reasoning behind essentially making Bad Company a specific way, or making Battlefield 3 a certain way. I recall them saying that it wasn't because they didn't want to do the whole destruction. A lot of it had to do with that when you have destruction like in Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2, you can't necessarily have it where you're leveling the entire playing field, and I think they felt that it almost broke the game, because even in Bad Company 2, you still have certain things that you cannot break. Not because it's not the concept of the game, because it almost breaks the game. They don't want it to where every last thing could be completely leveled and flat. And I think that that might continue even with Battlefield 3. So I don't want anyone to go in there believing that you could do those things, because for all we know, Bad Company 3 might have, semi-destructible stuff, but they may not say, hey, you could level the whole fucking playing field. So that might be the case. My personal opinion is I think, even with as unfair as it might sound, I think they should allow the playing field to be completely leveled by teams, merely just make it longer to destroy certain buildings and certain things, and just make it something that's kind of only to Bad Company. And then when Battlefield 5 comes out, okay, you could make them you could make them invincible, and then go on to kind of continue the game in that respect, which I'm fine with. I like both ways, actually, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, that's me hoping that this could be Bad Company 3, could be 2143. I would personally want a return to Titan mode, one of my favorite Battlefield modes ever in a game. So there's lots of things I'm excited about this new Battlefield 1, what it could be. I'm excited about not knowing what it is. So Titanfall, I don't know if I want to talk too much about Titanfall. They say a new Titanfall experience. All I gotta say about that, to be honest with you, is if Titanfall 2 doesn't have a single player, I am completely fine for that. I know I'm not the most popular in that regard in terms of that opinion, but I personally feel if the game's a fucking multiplayer game, let it be a multiplayer game. The reality is none of you guys know if the single player created is even going to be good. A lot of people feel that, okay, they're missing, you're not missing anything. You don't even know if the shit was ever going to be good. It's no different than saying if you thought Left 4 Dead was going to be great, or you thought that Evolve would have had a great single player. It's like, you don't even fucking know if Turtle Rock could even do that. So it's like, doing great single player games and first person shooters, to be quite honest with you, are rare. To begin with. I mean, you only have a very small handful that are great. And I really mean that. There's only a very tiny handful of first-person shooter stories that I felt were great. And I think every one of you guys kind of knows some of them. Half-Life or the early Halo games. I mean, there's a handful here and there. But it's not something I say that's an easy thing to do. It's very hard. So it's not just this easy peasy, snap your fingers, and, oh yeah, okay, the mode will be there. Okay, so it's going to be Mass Effect or something. Oh, it's going to be Gears of War. When the fuck has any of these single players that have been tacked on bullshit pieces of single players I've ever really competed against those companies that make those teams, that make those type of games, like your Gears of War, like your Mad Max, like your, Metro? Come on. Those are not the games that you're getting. You're really not getting that. In the same respect, when you play Dead Space or something, if you play Dead Space 2 multiplayer, the reality is that shit is not going to be no motherfucking Counter-Strike. It's not going to be competing against other titles. So I look at it as, let the team focus on making a single player, a multiplayer focused game if they wanted. If that's the whole concept of it, let it be the thing that they wanted to make it. I don't know if adding a single player makes it a better game, because I don't know if the team is capable of doing that. I don't even know, not even capable, but I don't know if that's what the team ever set out to do in the first place. It's almost like complaining that a fucking kart racing game isn't like an RPG or something, as if the team was ever going to even make it that. So I don't necessarily agree with that, and I don't think it matters. I don't think it's going to hurt the game at all. I say let it be what it was made to be, so that way we get a good understanding about the install base. I think it's important to know how many who are buying Titanfall are buying Titanfall to play its multiplayer, period. I think if you inflate its install base and you have a bunch of people who are playing Titanfall that don't even necessarily fucking like Titanfall, there's a problem. I feel if you jumped into it and you played Titanfall and you love it single player, you have this inflated number and this big question mark of, okay, how much of the install base really cared about one portion or the other portion? So I personally think keep it multiplayer focused. In the same respect, if I'm playing a single player focused game, just keep it single player focused, because the reality is, if a team like I don't remember the name of the team that did the Metro series, if they make another third Metro game, you know, of course I'm going to play it. And if they add multiplayer in it, I'm not going to play it. I don't play the multiplayer games in single-player games. I didn't play it in Uncharted. I didn't play it in The Last of Us. I didn't play it in Dead Space. I didn't play it in God of War. In fact, I could safely say no multiplayer modes that were added onto games that were not, you know, focused to be that in the first place. I've never wasted my time with them. They're just bloat and bullshit, just there to, you know, inflate numbers and give you bullet point reasons on why it should be great. But other than that, you know, I don't play the series for those purposes, so I don't care. But that actually goes for single player games too. I don't play the single player stuff in the Battlefield series. I don't play the single player stuff in most games that I know to be multiplayer focused games. I don't even waste my time through those fucking shooting galleries, because you're going to play BioShock for being BioShock, you'll play Counter-Strike for being Counter-Strike. Adding a mode in either one of those that contradicts what you know the series to be about is not going to make it any better. If Titanfall 2 is multiplayer only, that continues to be, I'm 100% fine with that, and I could care less. I think it got great response for being multiplayer only by the people who played it and liked it. Anyone who says, oh, a story could have helped or a story could do, that's almost like fucking saying a racing game a story could do, or a game that has no real concept where it maybe doesn't belong there. I don't care. I say, what is it being added if the quality doesn't exist? So I don't agree. So Mass Effect Andromeda could be being delayed. I'm unfortunate. I'm hoping that the Battlefield game comes this fall. I'm hoping that it comes October, November. I'm hoping Mass Effect comes December, at the very latest. And hoping Titanfall, I'm guessing Titanfall might be spring, because we haven't even seen it, unless EA is hoping for a very aggressive marketing from E3 to release for about 6 months, which I believe they probably could pull off. Another minor EA news, just when you thought we were done with them. Yeah, you're going to expect a lot of EA news considering their fat constant all that they had. Yeah, the publisher said the news of their little quarter financial reports. Star Wars Battlefront has shipped over 13 million copies since its launch in November, so they indeed hit their mark. They actually surpassed their mark. I recall them stating that they were expecting to be around 10 million units by the end of March 2016, and now they increased it by 13 million units, and they've actually even surpassed those, and it is only January, or not February, or not even March. So to surpass those and still have 2 months, that's actually a pretty big deal. I recall on this very same news actual cast predicting that, yes, Battlefront probably could pull those numbers. After playing it and after hearing that Battlefront hit 10 million people playing the beta. If you guys look at the correlation between people who play betas and who initially buy the actual game, most times a large percentage of the people who play the betas actually end up buying the game, and in fact only a small percentage of people who inevitably buy the game play the beta, which actually means that Destiny's beta, I think, only had 4 million or so people that bought it, yet the game went on to do ridiculous numbers. Lots of betas historically have went on to do numbers, maybe, 5 million people play them, 4 million people play them, and the end game gets more players. The reality is more people will end up playing the game as the final product, and will get in that small window to get lucky enough to get inside of a beta or an alpha. So I felt that it was probably likely that 13 plus million people might buy the final game. This game just has a broader appeal than even Battlefield. In fact, that wouldn't shock me if it surpassed Battlefield in terms of sales, because it sort of has a gameplay that's easier to get into than Battlefield. You just sort of jump in and start playing. I could understand how those sales could be, how they could be achieved by such a game. So big ups to EA. Not really shocked, but news nonetheless. Now, continuing on EA's little press event in which they went on to talk about it, one of the things that they stated, which I personally like to hear them say, and definitely, something that I think needed to be said on their standpoint of trying to better themselves anyway. Now, EA had their little press event, like I stated, earlier. He states that, or EA states that they want to regain trust from PC gamers. So they've now introduced an Origin access where gamers could play a catalog of their games for $3.99 a month or £3.99 a month. I don't know what the English thing would be for this because this is from the UK that this is being reported, this little conference anyway. I don't know what it would actually be for us currently in terms of the US, but for you guys out there in the UK, you're going to be enjoying that service for $3.99 a pound. I don't even know if that's good, bad. That's actually comparable to well, yeah, that's actually might be less to my understanding in terms of pounds, to what PlayStation Plus is. I mean, if you guys like the service, I'm sure that it's, from what I've seen, EA's Access program actually looks to be pretty decent. So they're on a journey to regain trust in PC gamers. Their senior marketing director of Origin states, "This is the last couple of years we focused on entrusting or assuring games play experience at launch and brings better experience to Origin." I think this is good. This is good that they're trying to reach out there to make that happen. In my personal opinion, I don't really know how much I would care for what they would be changing. If anything, I would say they need to make sure some of these games come day and date. And if they want to get full, support, nobody wants to get a product by a company that comes after the fact, because it's essentially going to make them question if it's going to be a bad port or translation in the first place. I mean, it's not true all the times, but this is just talking about the perception of value. When you're getting a game on PC and this game just released on, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and you hear 6 months later the PC version's coming, you may not think the world of that version. You might think bad things about it. I don't know if you're gonna overall feel great about that version's existence, so to speak. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna make anyone feel any better regarding it. So it's one of these things that definitely has to be fixed in order for people to be able to feel comfortable about purchasing their games on PC. Now, I don't necessarily care about the whole Origin thing. I know lots of people, cry about the crap going on with Origin. I actually really, really, really don't care. I don't care. I feel it's one of these things where it's like the Origin stuff that does release, I've never cared. It's like if something releases on Origin, like I bought Battlefield 3 on PC. I never cared that Battlefield 3 was on, that I had to, install Origin to play Battlefield 3, because at the end of the day, I never really talked with many people on there, and if I did, play with my buddies, setting up the mic stuff might have been the only thing different, but I rarely even did that on Steam, come to think of it. So Origin, to me, is kind of a non-issue. If you really want to play a game for real, I don't really know if these programs will hurt you, not hurt you. I could care less about whether it's Origin, Steam, good old games. I really don't fucking care. At the end of the day, if you're playing the game for 100 hours, I don't know how many of those hours are really on the overlay. I don't even when I'm playing Witcher and I own on Steam, it's not like I'm thinking of Steam. Steam is not giving me that game. I could have played that game with or without Steam. I don't really know what that has to do with it, to be honest with you. So I don't necessarily care. It's just, I don't know. I've had Origin on several of my hard drives and nothing's happened, so I don't care. And I don't think that's an issue. I think for business-wise, they're doing a great job. I don't really believe majority of people who say they're not buying a game because it's on Origin, because I don't even understand what the game being on the, distribution platform has anything to do with the game itself. I don't necessarily believe, because these games still did millions on PC, so don't really care. But EA could definitely fix things up a bit. But not too much. I'm more worried about the quality of the actual content than anything to do with any of those other stuff. Quality of the content is more so what I'm worried about. Yeah, these games have to come in day and date. They can't be coming, months after the fact. They can't be neglected, because no one's gonna give a fuck, really. If you have to make it, controls have to be on point. They have to support all the latest controls. They just need to be done respectfully in order for somebody to really hold them to the same standard. The PC community install base is no different than the console install base. They want quality games. If you release a game that was really crappy and buggy, you're not going to get the same reception as a game that's clearly going to be more playable. So they're going to have to fix and work on that. So EA is not done telling us about the news. So EA's little conference call ends off with them telling us that PlayStation 4 and Xbox One sold 55 million units combined by the end of 2015. This is according to Electronic Arts. They're giving their estimates on the install base, which is important to them. They're a third-party company. They're a third-party publisher. They kind of need to know these things. So that is a lot of units sold. That's a lot. That is a lot. You hear many people talking about console generations going away, and you hear lots of things regarding what's going on regarding the console market, and lots of people have their own opinions regarding what's going on with the console market. These are good numbers. These are great things. These are good numbers, period. For anyone, these are great numbers. So they're doing very fine. They have great numbers leading up. Both companies doing pretty good. Both companies are, to my understanding, selling better than they did last generation. So, to my understanding, let me see here. Microsoft, to my understanding, Xbox One is selling better than 360 did in the same time span. I think that is 100% factual. And PlayStation 4 clearly beating PlayStation 2 numbers currently. I'm not even going to waste my time looking for that. I'm pretty 100% sure Xbox One currently is doing better than the 360 did in the very same time span. Not to a degree, slightly, but still, nonetheless, it's still, even with a rocky start, it's actually still doing better than it did 360 did. And not even to mention the no hardware issues, no errors that are anywhere near the fiasco that was the Red Ring of Death. That was easily one of the craziest fiascos ever regarding regarding any hardware thing I've ever seen for gaming ever. I've never seen such a crazy fiasco as much as the whole Red Ring of Death situation, where this was just like failure rate was up to like 50%. It was something crazy. It was just like guaranteed, like flip a coin, your shit was going to break. So they're better now. Nothing of the sort actually on either platform are happening. So they're doing pretty fine. So that's a good thing, regardless what anybody might think. Those are good things that's happening this generation, is we're getting more stable install base. We not only have to worry about how those numbers are in terms of inflating numbers due to people purchasing these systems more than once. I think companies like EA want to know those numbers. They need to know, what are we looking at in terms of real install bases, as opposed to somebody's buying a system 3, 4, or 5 times because they keep breaking. So these numbers are much more solid numbers. So these numbers selling better mean a lot, because in my personal opinion, they're probably better than 360s by a larger than what people might think, because there is no somebody buying a system 2 to 3 times 2 years within the generation. It is stable. I don't know of any hardware issues on either platform that are major issues. So 55 million is a very good feat to reach 2 years into this generation. That's amazing news. Now, some Division news, not necessarily even Division news, much more it's like Division like announcements. I don't even know what the news regarding the Division could be. It's kind of weird, because it's like, yeah, it's expansion news, but it's sort of just like news of news, So basically they're basically just announcing that they have DLC that's going to be coming in terms of paid expansions. The Division is going to get 3 paid expansions to actually release this year. So I was reading this like several times, and I'm just like, am I reading some sort of fucking typo here? So maybe they're setting themselves up. I don't know how big these expansions are. I don't know if this was something that was planned for a good while, so it's going to be of great quality if they probably have another team working on it. So yeah, I don't know what's up with this, but so apparently they're trying to go into more detail regarding the post-launch plans. So the 3 expansions are going to be coming for the online shooter over the course of the year. One of the expansions, called Underground, or Expansion 1, is Underground, will let players explore this uncharted world of New York City. Expansions 2, in terms of survival, will task players for surviving as long as possible in a hostile environment. No details given on expansion 3, titled Last Stand. The thing that's hard to convey personally with a game like this is you don't really even understand what it is. I mean, I would have to play Division, and clearly the next Foxhole feed, I'll give a slight impression on what it is. So clearly, along with whatever videos I'm going to be posting up, I'm going to give more detail regarding exactly what the Division is, because that needs to be someone needs to say what it is, period. It can't just be a mystery. It can't just be, this unknown thing. Someone needs to be able to properly convey what the fuck the division is. This is a big deal. I mean, if they're unable to convey what it is something that's clearly going to inevitably hurt it in terms of people coming in or not coming in. But at the same time, it also assists in clarity and transparency of people knowing exactly what they're going to be getting when they buy the game. So, to my understanding, I never even knew the division didn't even have I didn't even know the division had a story. I thought what I had heard was, now this game has a story. So apparently there is a story to be told in some sort of pieces in this game with real voice acting, real characters, and real things are happening. And from what I've read is the division's main story is split between 3 different threads, apparently maybe 3 different factions or 3 different pieces of some sort of puzzle being put together is what they're describing it as. It's hard to understand what they mean. So it's hard to understand, okay, is that a reason to buy this game? I don't think so. We haven't seen enough of it, and consider this game is coming out in 2 months? Game's coming out in 2 months. We're just now finding out it has a story. I mean, I'm just now figuring this out. I don't think this was something, truthfully, I don't think this was something that was known 100% by everyone. I thought this was more so like a Destiny thing, where it's yeah, you got some fucking narration, some people might be speaking, but it's not even the meat of the game. It's in the game, but it's not the reason why you would play the game. That's as big as a lie as, telling somebody, Dead Space 2 is a multiplayer shooter, and by the way, it has some story in it. That is the main game. There is a multiplayer portion, but you need to be able to respectfully and properly convey what the fuck the game is. So yeah, there's going to be 3 expansions that are going to be coming for Destiny. I will link you guys the information regarding the expansions, and I'll even link you guys the whole split story thread thing to read it yourself to see how you feel about it. Going furthermore, I'm actually going to, take this chance to tell you guys that yes, I will be playing the beta, and I will be giving impressions on the next Foxhole feed regarding the beta. So I'm going to give my impressions slightly, and I'll probably leave more of my impressions for probably a video later on. So Bungie studio president Harold Ryan has stepped down. So Bungie's board of directors announced longtime CEO is now going to take over Pete Parisons. Oh man, we are not fucking up that name. Pete Parisons will now take over as CEO. So he states he likes to thank Harold for his friend, his relationship, passion, and hard work. To the players of Destiny. I wonder why he's actually, being playing down. I wonder if it's because of that. It says earlier Kotaku published a report claiming a planned unannounced sequel to Destiny has been pushed back from its supposed September launch. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case, because from what I saw from the leaks, technically speaking, the sequel to said game of Destiny 2 technically should have actually, been seeking to be launched this year. So from what I've read, from the little leaks that came out years ago when these leaks were being shown, it was showing that there was always supposed to be some DLC, and then the year after that DLC there would be the launch of the sequel, and then the next year will be a DLC and then launch of the sequel, and so forth. So technically speaking, the ending of this year, that means there should be Destiny 2. Destiny 2 actually probably should have been revealed last year. So, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's too much for them. Maybe they feel their bullshit claim that they could even fucking make a, ground up game that quickly. Maybe that's kind of coming back in their face, and they're kind of feeling like they can't really put a 2 behind the next game, I guess. But, board of the guy stepping down in terms of their, CEO, president stepping down, I don't think is a big deal. It happens. You have lots of people change places a whole bunch of times. I don't know if it has anything to do with that. It could really be nothing. Now, in a little rumor speculation news that may not be too shocking, it may not be surprising to most, Quantum Break has been rated for PC in Brazil. It basically is Brazil's advisory rating board has apparently rated Quantum Break for PC in addition to the Xbox One, which is kind of weird. So Quantum Break is Remedy's new, time space bendy shooter, similar to Singularity, I want to say the title was called. So old first person, not old, but last generation. First person, actually, I might even be lying to you. I'm like not old. Oh man, game could be like 10 years old. Let's go look it up right now. So Singularity, it's similar to Singularity, the actual first person shooter game in regards to its concept. Okay, it's not 10 years old. It's only about 6 years old. So Singularity came out 2010. I don't know why that game came out earlier, and interesting. But yeah, similar to Singularity, where you could do a little move back time and space and do a whole bunch of bendy stuff. This game is stated to release April 6 on the Xbox One. Now, though Microsoft Remedy is not really confirming this, Brazil's advisory rating board removed its PC rating. So we're not really sure what's going on with that after it's been removed, after everybody sort of talked about it. This is not really the first time. This actually happened with Tomb Raider. It actually happened with other stuff. So it happened with Tomb Raider before. It happened with Rise. It happened with a couple of other titles. So this is not the first time some rating board in some other country has accidentally revealed the rating of another title's existence on a platform that we didn't know of up until that. So that's not necessarily surprising. Now it could be nothing. It's not like they haven't made mistakes before, because I believe they also once rated Forza, and they also once rated something else. They've rated Forza, and it might have been Sunset Overdrive, and they might have rated those two games before. In those games, a year later, or I don't know if it's a year later, a month later, never released. So who knows? Maybe it's nothing, but I think it's not surprising if it is. I think that it's actually an inevitability that Quantum Break, Scalebound, and some of their other titles will likely release on PC, according to what Phil Spencer has stated. Now, before I even state what Phil Spencer stated, let me state to you what, the co-founder at Remedy said. The co-founder said in November he hopes the game will be released on PC one day. So he's already lobbying to say, yeah, we hope it gets released one day. Believe me, they know that game is probably getting released on PC. Now, let me go on to what Phil Spencer stated. Now, Phil Spencer stated a reason on why Scalebound, Crackdown 3, and Quantum Break weren't coming to PC. His answer to why they weren't coming to PC, in my personal opinion, is almost to say his reason for why it's not there sounds more so why it's going to be. Now, Phil Spencer states, in cases like Scalebound, Crackdown, Quantum Break, just to be completely honest with you, we started those games before we really looked into expanding into Windows in that way. I wanted to bring as part as becoming head of Xbox. Now, he's trying to say that these games were basically in development or started before they began to look into it, and even states that, this was started as him becoming part of the head of Xbox, as if to say, prior to him being head, those games were not, in development. The company wasn't in that direction. So what's that trying to say now? Is that trying to say with his direction currently right now, those games would have already been on PC or already been development on PC? So, and he says to further this, going to these teams mid-cycle and saying, hey, by the way, I want to add a platform, didn't really feel like the necessary best way to end up with the best result for a game. So it's almost like he's trying to say the only reason why these games are not on PC is because prior to them looking to expand into the Windows into PC, prior to him becoming head of the Xbox division, he didn't want to go in mid-development, mid-cycle and tell these teams to add a platform. It's almost like trying to say the only fucking thing stopping this game from not being PC day and date is Phil Spencer not being head of Xbox at that time. That's not necessarily saying it's not going to happen. That's basically saying that it was just by happen chance at its current time that it didn't happen. That's basically almost like him saying, at the end of the day, nothing's really stopping him from making it other than quality and timing, that he wasn't there to have it made in correlation with PC. So it's starting to sound like what we're seeing with Killer Instinct and Gears of War Ultimate, even ReCore that was recently announced for PC, that, with these games, it might be inevitable that they are coming to Windows at a later date, or, a year after, even being prepared for day and date if they could actually do that right now. So I think it's a possibility, because ReCore wasn't, confirmed as that when it first released, and now it's confirmed that there is a PC version releasing. So it makes you wonder if that's going to be the case with the rest of these titles, like Quantum Break, like Scalebound, and like Crackdown 3. Based on what I've read Phil Spencer state regarding PC, he's stating stuff, and I quote, "Definitely want to build our Windows games portfolio. We're making slow progress on that." He states lots of things that make it seem as if he wants to bring more titles over. He even states that he wants to bring more titles over. So I put this in the rumor, not confirmed, speculation, but don't be shocked when it does, because to my understanding, almost every major Remedy game made it on PC anyway. At this point, what Phil Spencer sounds like he's saying, and even what the makers of at Remedy, the developers at Remedy are saying, it's starting to sound like it's inevitable. One of the strangest news stories that I've read in the last week, this news story, if not, I don't know, I really don't know, people. If not one of the strangest news stories, it's like, I don't know if this next news story is, I don't know if this next news story is weird. I don't know if this next news story is weird or the next one. I don't even know. I don't even know if it's this or the next. I don't even know right now. Good God. I do not even know right now. So first off, Insomniac goes and they show off a very cryptic, little trailer or little teaser of their next game. I worried the fuck out of this teaser because I spotted very quickly what looked to be like, not 3 dimensions, but 2. So I'm like, okay, it's not really multiple dimensions here, looking at some 2D shit. Insomniac Games is an independent company, so you're literally looking at some indie game shit. So when I seen it, I was like, time to worry. I don't like what I am looking at. And I am worrying a lot when I see this. I see it and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? I'm really legitimately worried. I'm not trying to say it's crap. I'm not even trying to sit there. I don't know. I'm bothered by by just a small amount of what I was saying. Fucking bothered. And this bothers me even more. Something that always been a hit or miss. This bothers me even more. Gamestop is going to be publishing this next game. The game is called Song of the Deep. It's about a 12-year-old girl who builds herself a small submarine, search for her missing father, discovers a new world and lost civilization. It's basically like a 2D game, you going underwater. It's like an underwater 2D game. It's going to be available for digital direct download for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, but a physical disc will be available to purchase in GameStop stores. So GameStop is going to ship and distribute these games in their stores. And, Insomniac states that, Insomniac owns the intellectual property. They have full creative control of the game and how it's being developed. GameStop has been incredibly, collaborative and supportive in everything they're doing. This is what Ted Price says. And the partnership built out of the conversation between Ted Price and GameStop's Mark Stanley. The two met in Insomniac's Burbank offices where, Price told Stanley about the idea of doing Song of the Deep. Wow. I just, this is, oh man. I don't know. This is just, I have no idea. This is just fucking crazy. I don't even know what to think of this. So basically, they're even talking about fucking merchandising. They're even talking about merchandising. Can't even come out yet. They're even saying, he says Song of the Deep will be treated to be a full AAA launch experience. No, it fucking won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. He's saying like it's going to be treated like a full AAA. No, it's not even that. By default, it's not that view to what the fuck the game is in the first place. Oh man, I cannot stop laughing. This got me in tears, people. And he says that they already got a children book that's being made at the same time called Song of the Deep. It's going to be targeted at children. They're going to be, having these books at Barnes and Nobles. And apparently they have like other merchandise that's going to be releasing, pop vinyls. You got to be fucking kidding me. So I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know if Insomniac is just desperately trying to go full sellout and they really fucking need this. I don't know what's going on here because they look like they're throwing that full Hail Mary into that children's ring and they think that that's just what it is. They're going to come out and they're just going to be like, oh man, all the kids are going to love us. We're launching at GameStop and everybody knows us because we're Insomniac. No. I don't hate Insomniac. They're a respected team in the industry. They've done great titles, but they've been huge hit or miss. This is one of the biggest hit or miss teams. Literally, I might tell you legit, if there's ever a big hit or miss team in gaming, it's fucking probably this team, for real. This team is the biggest hit or miss team. You might get like, you know, the Resistance series from these guys, Fuse, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? So it's like, this happens with them, and I'm not feeling this game. I'm not even slightly interested. This game is not even slightly, even a little bit on the radar, even with the pedigree of the developer. I'm sorry, but even if you're a big name developer, that doesn't necessarily, you know, mean that, you know, you're going to captivate everybody's attention. No one fucking cares. No one's going to give a fuck. At the end of the day, this is a 2D game about going underwater. It looks like a fucking, you know, game, you know, one of them indie games you might get some Steam. And, you know, no disrespect to the team, but this is just, I am not feeling this. This is not a pickup for me in any way, shape, or form. You know, I'm sorry. This is going to be a sleeper. It has to release, and everybody has to be saying it's game of the year. People got to be saying great things for me to look twice at this game, because right now, from what I'm seeing, I'm already saying it's a miss and not giving a fuck. A strange story, people. All right. Gamestop, once again, is publishing an Insomniac game. Yeah, that's kind of weird. And end it off easily. Strangest story. Easily strangest story thus far this week that I've read. It's strangest. So Nintendo reveals you know, Pikachu detective game, which looks really awesome. You know, they reveal this game. It looks really interesting. I'm actually hoping this game gets a good, you know, release down over here in the States. This was all the way hinted back in like 2013. So yeah, they're going to be releasing this in February in Japan, which is nice for them. And hopefully that, you know, we could get, you know, we could get something of this coming over here. Bring that shit to the West. I'm telling you, come on, tell them bring this shit to the West. We need this. So this is a very interesting game. But that's not even the whole thing. That's the thing that's funny about this. That's not even everything. The strangest thing that has to do with this might be, you know, the fans asking for, you know, Danny DeVito is asking for Danny DeVito to voice Pikachu. So there's a petition that's out there to seek to get Danny DeVito to be the voice of, you know, Pikachu's, like you know, this the voice of Pikachu, because in the actual trailer of the game, which I was unbeknownst to me, I actually never knew that, but the trailer of the voice actually has him, you know, basically speaking English. Not English, excuse me, speaking, period. He's speaking in Japanese. He's saying stuff, which is kind of weird. So he's speaking, and his voice is like really, his voice is really cool. And he's like speaking and saying stuff, you know, to the, I don't know if the person's talking. I don't know if he's speaking to the boy. You know, I don't know if Pikachu just speaks in Pikachu, you know, Pokemon language, and there's text, but there's definitely a voice in the commercial that leads us to believe that Pikachu is the one that's speaking. So everybody gets out these petitions, like they're signing this online petition to get Danny DeVito to the voice. As of me taping right now, yeah, it's like 2,500 signatures to get Danny DeVito to voice this game. This game is coming out in Japan in February. It has not been confirmed to be coming at all to, you know, Europe or North America. Hopefully it does. I know Nintendo sometimes they don't release their titles, you know, worldwide. Sometimes I hope that it will. It's definitely probably likely, because it definitely seems like a game that could work in the States. So I see this game as most likely coming over here. In terms of the weird Danny DeVito getting the voice as it, I don't think that's gonna happen, but man, that would be fucking badass if it did. That'd be so strange if it did. It would be one of these weird things where it's like, why? But apparently they want Danny DeVito to voice, you know, Pikachu in this, which I think, yeah, you know what, that's fine. I think that would be awesome, regardless. So yeah, it's been episode Foxhole feed. Got a lot of playthrough things to put up. We have a lot of things, you know, being planned this year that I'm not going to go into further detail until more things are confirmed. But we got a lot of things being planned to be revealed later for us in terms of our channel and stuff outside of our channel that we would fill everybody else in on later. But be on the lookout for any content that we might add. I'm going to be adding some Fallout stuff. Might be adding some gameplay of some other games that I'm playing. Resident Evil stuff. And yeah, you guys be on the lookout for that. But that has been a episode. Yeah, that's game.